The commissioners have to share the microphone. Yeah.
What? They make the folks celebrate that, all the filters. An owl, right? It's an owl, make you look about 10 years younger.
I don't see anybody waiting. Aloha mai kako, everyone. I'm calling meeting 92 of the Legacy Land Conservation Program Commission back to order at 2:28 p.m. Oh, yeah. Next up is item B4, an application from Save Honolulu Coalition partnering with the Trust for Public Land for $2,021,250 to acquire approximately 17.8 acres at Honolulu Bay, District of Kihei, Island of Maui, map numbers 24-1-001:19, 4-2-001:044, and 4-2-004:032. I believe that John Hardy from Save Honolulu Coalition and Elise Parker from the Trust for Public Land will be presenting. So I'll turn it over to you. I believe you have an early testifier, and then, okay, I'll leave it up to you for your schedule.
Well,
You might need to use this one.
hello. Hello, oh, there, that seems to be working. Sure, I'm Elise Parker with Trust for Public Land. Please. Three of.
Here. So don't hit the button. Just put it down.
The three of us will be presented. With Delilah Vasiri. David, do we need to be on camera?
Absolutely. Now, what happens to the water?
Didn't we first get their screen up?
Before we get started, we were hoping that we could have one testifier come up who needs to leave. So maybe we can get started with him while we're figuring out technical stuff, or do you need to have that all situated?
I think we can go there.
Okay, go ahead.
Aloha mai kako, aloha kona, aina mai, ino Manapili. My name is Kaiko Kekona, from Lahaina, and I live in Napili. First, I'd like to apologize to all of our kupuna as I've cut in line and have progressed up in our testimonies. And then thank the commission for your time here with us and hearing of our community and efforts. Today, my job is with Hawaii Farmers Union. I'm the CEO and president for our statewide organization, but today I speak on behalf of the Ahamoku Council, as the Ka'anapali Po'o rep. I represent Ka'anapali Moku, so goes from Pu'ukeka'a all the way up to Makamaka'ole, Kapuloa. The history of Honolulu Bay for us as a community is rich and long-standing. Many of our community today are lineal descendants of this place, and specifically the bay. agricultural operations can speak in magnitude of the production that was produced in that landscape. We have been continual support for the Honolulu Coalition throughout since its creation. They've been very well partnered alongside our efforts with the state in developing the plan for management there. And as we are now continuing our work there and finding other opportunities to work with the current landowner, as Maui Land and Pine, we look forward to progressing even beyond our current mission and effort in this effort to work alongside of the TPL. And we hope that we can find support for those needs. Honolulu Coalition goes back to when we didn't even have the amazing council rep that we have today. She was a part of this organization, and for that kind of legacy in itself speaks to the magnitude of our community support for this type of work. I cannot express how exciting it is for me to hear that there's an opportunity for us to acquire the other remaining portion of the bid and provide it to be available where maybe we can once again see our community more involved in that area and space and better manage the resources and environment of that area. Another cool thing that maybe people don't understand or recognize is when Hokulea first took its launch and journey, it launched from Honolulu Bay. That was in the 70s. And just all that kind of legacy and coming forward, Kawilma will share, I'm sure, of some of the older historical properties of the area and some of the descendants that are currently and still being actively engaged on their aina there can speak very well towards some of the cultural resources available as well as the environmental impacts that we see taking place on that space and how we hope to provide our own opportunities to protect and preserve some of those spaces. So I just wanted to give my thank you one more time to the commission and my appreciation for our community to showing up. And yeah, thank you very much. Mahalo. No more any questions yet?
My lord.
Mai kumana a kawa pula he a pula he no I kleu ke de puna he leo mara ke wanu a to alwe ye aloha aloha mahalo mahalo to the kupuna mahalo to the ohana. Mahalo for this opportunity in this privilege. How you loud voice. What you just heard, that used to be a common thing. You should hear it a lot in the valley. You don't hear that anymore. But I promise you, if you go to the Honolulu Valley with that intention in mind, to listen to the leo, the kapuna that are heard in the wind, I felt in the lepo and the oahu and the la'au. Feel them. Feel them. As a descendant of the house of Manalono, For me, it is our Juliana to be aware of those kinds of things. You know, when we're talking about legacy, right? What is the legacy of the people living today? So much changes have happened over time that a lot of the descendants, but they don't understand what their legacy is, and something changed, not just the landscape, but maybe in the whole space we call our title. Therefore, you who sit as members of this commission, think about their legacy. What does it mean to us as Ohana on the Lord? I'm here today to speak for and on behalf of Honolulu because of an Almakua. Kamahoa belongs to this family in Valley of Honolulu. Kamahoa called me from a moia, a dream. I had no idea who this mano was, but it came 15 years ago. And I went out looking, because in this mano I saw 5 children. That 5 children represent 5 families, 5 generations, 500 years of care about this child. Kamahoa Skuliana is the whole amount of the people that were living in the valley. And as the people continue to sustain and Ho'omalama the sharpest. The name Kamahoa comes from Kama meaning the child, and Hoa meaning the companion of them. So there is an old story that is told that when the children used to go out and get caught in the undertow, but caught and tossed off there to the ocean. Unas will call the shark. Yo Kamahoa. Ka po umay. Ilaya ko no cake. Ay one. And that shark, being true to his kuleana, go out, retrieve the children, bring them back. Why? Kuleana. That was his responsibility. And somebody in this house here, there to do, ask them. Where do you find that? That legacy lives and breathes in the families that still call this fun home. And so for me, it is not just kuleana's privilege, it's a blessing and opportunity to be able to kapo and to kawa, to serve all the members of the community in the Ohana that have this shared kuleana and this space. If we want Kamahoa to continue to fulfill its duty and responsibilities, then it is imperative that we do everything we can to create a place, a space where those legacies can continue generation. Mahalo. I hope whatever decision you make today, you make with this in mind. Honolulu, think of Honolulu like this. Honolulu is the bay, Lua is true. As above, so below. As here, so there. On both sides of the bay. You make decision that impacts families on this side and the other side. And what you do will either help retain that relationship, separate. Whatever decision you choose to make will allow us to go forward and do what is going to continue to create a lasting legacy for generation. So that Honolulu does become this recreational space, right? That's why Kamahoa is not there. Right? It became a recreational space, and now Kamahoa cannot fulfill his responsibility because got choke foreigners playing in his lagoon, which put him at risk. Because if he goes into that space to fulfill his duties, he's going to be perceived as a threat. I love that. That friend is responsible for providing for the care of guys in that way. Honolulu. Oh, beautiful place. Very special place. I cannot do it justice to just hobby or little figures. Oh, Kalamai. Say by the door. I can say that Honolulu is a very sacred liam. The people in that valley have done a really good job of taking care of that hill, keeping it intact. If you want to feel the ano, the mana, the iko'i no, the kukunas from that place in this space, I urge you, protect Honolulu here. Give it reason to exist, not just for tomorrow, but for the next 100, 200 years. That's technically to be preserved for generations.
Hey, and Donald, join me up there. So I just want to start by thanking you, Uncle Kamano, for that really powerful foundation to this presentation. Uncle Kamano is the president of the Save Honolulu Coalition. Yeah. Aloha commissioners and legacy staff. You guys have been working extra hard today on the IT. But really just thank you for taking the time to learn so much about places and the people who are stepping up to take care of these places. Not an enviable position that you're in, having to make these really tough decisions, but we very much appreciate you taking all these projects so seriously and thinking deeply about them. It's been my privilege to work, I guess I should say I'm Elise Takayasu Parker with Trust for Public Land. It's been my real privilege to work with Save Honolulu Coalition on this incredibly worthy project at a place that I've been going to since I was a kid. I hear you. Oh, I need to be louder? You did like your outburst, Mike. Okay. I was hoping that, is that better?
It's on.
On, but.
Are the commissioners mic on? Oh, turn that one off, please.
Talk about this.
That seems to work really well. Okay. All right, well, I was just saying that it's been an absolute privilege to work with Save Honolulu Coalition on this project and to get to know these people since I'm working on this. Especially at a place at Honolulu where I would go as a child and where I now take my own son, and I can see firsthand the need for more active management there. I guess I'm doing the slides. Okay, now to just give a little bit of background on Trust for Public Land. You can see here in this photo of Aulokoko Fish Pond on Hawaii, our mission and vision in action. So our mission is that the Trust for Public Land creates parks and protects land for people, ensuring livable communities for generations to come. Our vision is that the people of Hawaii are thriving and healthy and meaningfully connected to the land, each other, and to living Hawaiian culture. So our real role is to work with local organizations and the people of the place to transfer private land into community stewardship. Next. Thanks, Tom. So people know of TPL just generally for our land conservation work, but really to just spell it out, we have two major programs that we work in the Aloha Aina program. We protect lands that are culturally important to Native Hawaiian communities and return these lands to Hawaiian organizations for community and cultural stewardship. And our Sustainable Hawaii program conserves lands that support local food production, our forests and their native species, and clean water sources to improve Hawaii's food security and self-sufficiency. We took on Honolulu as a project, obviously, because it fits perfectly into both of these programs, connecting people to place for cultural stewardship and protecting clean water from Mauka to Makai. So since 1979, for almost 50 years working in Hawaii, TPL has protected almost 80,000 acres and 56 very special places across the Pai'aina. Next. So John and Delilah, who are sitting here with the Save Honolulu Coalition, they will introduce themselves in a moment, but before I turn it over to them, I just want to kind of brag about them a little bit in case they're gonna be a little bit too humble. And I want to share a bit about this organization that I've really just learned a lot about since I started working on this project. So for those of you who may not know, Save Honolulu Coalition has been working to protect Honolulu Bay for over 20 years. But Delilah Rodriguez and her family here, they have been at this for generations. She spent her childhood at Honolulu. She can tell stories passed from her tutu who lived in the bay until the 1946 tsunami destroyed their family's home. Delilah has taken on the kuleana of caring for Honolulu with many other generational families who are still tied to the bay. Uncle Kamaunu, who you heard from at the start, is a lineal descendant of Maui Komohana, and you've already heard about his very strong connection to Honolulu Bay and his passion for protecting the bay. John Carty here has spent over 20 years living in Honolulu Valley, advocating for the bay from every day on the ground acts of care to lobbying at the governor's office and at the ledge. His love and care for Honolulu Bay is deep, and he's going to tell you more about that in a minute. Hannah Bernard, also a founding member of Save Honolulu Coalition. I think she's in the room here. Many of you probably already know her from her decades of work as a marine scientist, working with communities to protect native species across Hawaii, driving a very effective, very highly. Do you need me? No. Oh, sorry. A highly effective nonprofit organization, Hawaii Wildlife Fund. And the Save Honolulu Coalition has many more major players. Pa'ele Keokona, many of you may know him. He's a community organizer for the last 2 years, been deeply involved with Lahaina Strong and Lahaina recovery efforts. Heidi Beltz and Zane Schweitzer, who himself is a surfer and a very powerful fundraiser. He brings deep experience with children in Aina in Pai-based education, and Heidi Beltz in Aina-based education. And all of these people have been really active leaders in fire recovery and see this project of protecting Honolulu Bay as an important aspect of that healing. They'll speak more for sure about their story because it's long and beautiful, but I just want to make sure that you all knew about their legacy, expertise, experience, and connections to the place. Let's see. Next slide, please. I'm just going to start by taking you through the project at sort of a high level project structure. So TPL will purchase and transfer the lands to Save Honolulu Coalition for long-term community-based stewardship. The project is supported by the County of Maui to both hold the future conservation easement and provide matching funds. We have a letter of support attached to our application for Mayor Richard Bisson. And the project is also supported by Council Representative Tamara Pelton, who is in the room and she'll be testifying later. And she was a founder of the Save Honolulu Coalition and was a very active member of the coalition before joining the council. So the project encompasses 3 parcels, a total of 17.8 acres with an estimated value of $2.695 billion. So today we're here to ask humbly for your recommendation in funding the $2,021,000 required to complete the acquisition. This is an opportunity to protect a place that is beloved by the Maui community as a whole, a place that once supported a thriving Hawaiian community, a critical shelter for marine life, a place renowned by surfers world over, and unfortunately, like many places in Hawaii, a place being loved to death. And if you've been to Honolulu at all recently, like thankfully the commissioners who came out to visit saw, it's really, there's a very high volume of unmanaged visitor traffic there. And obviously that's a big threat to the ecological resilience and also to the cultural integrity of the place. And it's certainly threatening just the general sense of place there. Most local people now avoid Honolulu Bay, not wanting to deal with the droves of tourists who are there. And there's just a generalized kind of sense of the loss of peace at Honolulu Bay. Next slide, please. So to give context to these lands, they're the lands shown in orange here. I want to talk a little bit about the conservation connectivity that stretches from the ridges of Pu'uhupui, where over 8,000 acres are already protected by Maui Land and the Nature Conservancy, down through Honolulu Valley, which is a conservation easement that is protected by Aloha Pu'uhupui in purple, and right into the Marine Life Conservation District at Honolulu Bay. That was created in 1978. So this potential acquisition would complete conservation connectivity of the full watershed, Lauka to Makai. It would be a true ridge to reef kind of final piece of connectivity, full Ahupua'a scale conservation. I also want to point out the connection to the lands in green. These were the lands that were protected in 2014 by the state of Hawaii, in large part thanks to the advocacy work done by the Save Honolulu Coalition. And John will tell you more about that in a minute. Okay, next slide. Okay, zooming into this map, you can get a better sense of how critical these lands are for facilitating conservation across the full bay. So to the north of Honolulu Stream, in the lands in green, is the portion of the state protected lands that are slated to become a state park. So currently this land remains unencumbered, which means that it's sort of in a limbo in terms of management, and there's very minimal management happening there, which is obviously very challenging in a place with such a high visitor load. So along the lime green trail, this is where most visitors especially enter Honolulu Bay. So they park along Honoapi'ilani Highway and follow that trail into Honolulu Bay. So within the state lands during green, you can also see there are privately held Kuleana lands that were commission awards to Delilah's family, among others. Other generational families that are still deeply tied and connected to the bay. To the south of Honolulu Stream, the lands in orange, these are the lands that the potential acquisition lands. And they're currently owned by Maui Land and Pineapple. The application also includes a small 0.05 acre parcel that's also owned by Maui Land and Pine, and a stretch of land Mauka that's critical to protect open view plains, manage parking and traffic hazards, and overall just put a line in the sand with the development, protecting really the raw beauty of Honolulu. You can see the large homes and luxury state style development that is encroaching right upon the bay there on the lower left. So the key takeaway here is that this acquisition would allow for protection of the full bay. It really was a huge achievement in 2014 for the state to come in and protect the Ikoa Point and the north side of Honolulu Stream. But that protection of Honolulu Bay was really incomplete. The lands in orange remain in private hands, and visitors creating informal trails, disturbing cultural sites, and with a general lack of reverence or understanding for the deep cultural history and significance of the land. Okay. So now to go from that view to the actual view, you can see the connectivity from Eke Crater down through Honolulu Valley into the Marine Life Conservation District. You can also see the encroaching development, and if your eye is trained, you can see the sediment plume flowing into Honolulu Bay. So this photo sort of says it all. Honolulu is stunning raw beauty and serious need of protection. So I'll turn it over now to John Carty and Delilah Rodriguez. Well, Delilah, again, lineal descendant of the Maka'ole family, one of the Kuleana landowners of the Bay. Both members of the Save Honolulu Coalition Board will take you through the project and Greater Hotel. But before I do that, I just want to kind of pull my overview together. I just really want to emphasize the unique value of protecting the lands at Honolulu and the urgency to do this now. When we have a very supportive landowner, thankfully, in Maui Land and Pine, a company who's not always been supportive of community stewardship and may not always be willing to transfer the lands out of private ownership. So I hope the commission recognizes that this is a window of opportunity that cannot and really should not be missed for the sake of the health of the Bay. Bringing these lands into community stewardship will address the increasing visitor impacts and restore the Bay as a shelter for marine life, a place where community feels welcome again, and the deep history and culture of the place is upheld and really revered again. So hopefully afterwards we'll be able to do questions, but I'm going to turn it over now to John to tell you more about Save Honolulu Coalition.
Well, it's such a joy to have you here and paying attention. It's been amazing for the last 20 years to represent the community's passion for this incredible place. And so I'm thinking of everyone that we've worked with over the 20 years and all of the children and all of the meetings and all of it right now leading to this moment. And I'm so happy that you're here. So thank you for this opportunity. And I'm not going to talk for very long because I'm really looking forward to what Dee has to say. But as a founding member, I wanted to share a little bit about the coalition and who we are as stewards of this place. So in 2007, we began as a grassroots response to the threat of commercial development in Honolulu. And at the beginning, it was a real fight, but we always had the vision of a properly stewarded Honolua as our highest goal. And we started out with a visioning process that Hannah Bernard led us through as a community that went on for months. It was one of the first things we did. What would a properly stewarded Honolua look like? And I'll tell you, so much out of those first meetings exists today in the plan that we have before us. But yeah, in that first year, one of our big undertakings that we did was to get some signatures. And boy, did we get some signatures. You guys, each of these here. All of these folders are full of written signatures, and I have over 16,000 of them before you. These are the originals. And so that mana stands with us today. Try doing that digital signatures. So our mission has remained unchanged since day one, and that's to protect the open space and revitalize the Honolulu Ahupua'a by utilizing community-based management and honoring Hawaiian cultural values and practices. And that mission statement has served us well and is a guiding light for us at all times. One of the first things we did as well was get a resolution passed through the county council. And that would have saved Honolua. However, the mayor at the time had other priorities and vetoed that. So we regrouped, and Tamar Pelton led us into a new era where we focused on the state. And we shepherded and lobbied a bill through the House and the Senate, signed into law, and then the governor named October 9th as the Lopoa Point Day. And that victory, what a day. And here we are on the precipice of another victory such as that. And you know, that victory, as great as it was, it really only saved half of Honolua. So then strange things happened. Mega yacht washed up on the shore of our beloved Honolulu Bay in 2023. And that was a real slap in the face. How can we call ourselves Save Honolua when we're not really saving it, are we? So what are we going to do about it? We were on the site, we were given access to the site, and we acted as hands-on intermediaries with the state and the Coast Guard and DLNR and the salvage company. And we were representing the land and the bay and the community. And that worked really well. And on that day when it got lifted out of there, they were going to just give them a slap on the wrist. But this community stood up and we pushed hard. And then the state responded with a $1.8 million fine honoring Honolua and the pain and suffering of our community. And then the following year, another commercial boat grounded in Honolua, reinforcing the urgent need for management and focusing on something besides commercialization for Honolua. And unfortunately, we had the opportunity to use that new skill set again in dealing with the Hula Girl. But it really marked a transition for the coalition because now we were focusing more that, okay, we need to have the hands-on stewardship part now. The political advocacy is always going to be a part of it, but we shifted. And at that time, Wilmot and Pele and now Delilah came on board. And now we're a community-based, culturally led stewardship organization. And our goal, what we're working towards with this hands-on approach, is to bring balance to Honolua and ecological integrity and resilience and reconnect the land and the people. Along the way, we've been doing a lot of work with the Honolulu Conservation Action Plan Group, which includes the DLNR and the Nature Conservancy and various scientists and cultural representatives. And it's an example of how we can work, another example of how we can work well with the state and other organizations. But the fact remains that Honolulu is being loved to death. And unmanaged use has damaged our reefs, harassed wildlife, and desecrated sacred sites, while commercial photo sessions, tour groups, and shoulder-to-shoulder crowds dominate the shoreline. Cat colonies, weddings, and other unmanaged activities compound the impacts, crowding out cultural practitioners and creating conditions where our own community is just not comfortable coming to Honolulu anymore. But instead of all of this, imagine Honolulu as a living classroom. Every day, children coming to connect with the land and with the culture. And imagine a shoreline with Halewa'a supporting our canoe community and living wage jobs for people from the culture in our community, taking care of the land and educating visitors. That's what we can do as stewards of this land. Our management model is informed and inspired by other successful community-based management groups. Specifically, we've had a lot of contact with Chipper Whitman and Ha'ena, and it's really been a model for us. And it's just been so encouraging to have our connection with them supporting our group. And I hope you get a chance to read his support letter. It's fantastic. Our stewardship priorities are clear. We have a framework for a site-specific management plan for these parcels, which is evolving as we get more and more input from lineal descendants as they come forward and other key people. And as we expand and strengthen our Makai Watch program to provide education and consistent eyes on the ground and the water for coordinated enforcement through our partnership with the state agencies. Our plan balances visitor use, protects cultural sites, returns our community to the land, and restores the cultural and ecological integrity of Honolulu. And while Honolulu is hanging on by a thread, everything has aligned in this moment. Maui Land and Pineapple is willing to engage in a way that previous versions of this company just never would have. And the Hawaiian Tourism Authority has identified Honolulu as one of the top, if not the top hotspot for Hawaii that needs attention. And Trust for Public Land has recognized the power of this moment and helped bring us to this place that we're in now. Our petition to support this application has garnered more than 340 signatures. And we've collected a wide range of letters of support from community organizations and respected individuals. Our elected leaders, including Senator McKelvey and Representative Cochran and Councilmember Palton and Mayor Bisson, have all pledged their support. And I'll leave you with this. Alan Carpenter, Acting Director of Hawaii State Parks, states in his letter of support, our intent would be to work on a co-management agreement similar to the lauded Ha'ena State Park model on Kauai for community-based stewardship. We look forward to supporting this effort in partnership with Trust for Public Land and Save Honolulu Coalition. So I'm going to pass the mic to Dee now, and I'm so happy for this moment because I've known her since she was about 12 years old, and she was the one at the bay that was listening and thinking and speaking wisely and reasoning, and she's the one you want to listen to. So here you go.
No pressure.
Go
Thank
to
you,
the
John.
next slide.
Okay, so my name is Delilah Rodriguez. Most people know me as Dee through my small business. Today I come before you commissioners. First of all, thank you and forgive me. This is my first time speaking like this. But I come before you not only as a 5th generation descendant of the Mako'ole family from Honolulu Bay, but or a board member of the Save Honolulu Coalition. I come before you as a wife and a mother of 2, one of which is in the room with us today. Along with him are my two aunties, the last remaining daughters of my grandmother, and my uncle and my parents. So to me, it's my responsibility to set positive examples for my children, to make my family proud. And with the work that I do with Safe Honolulu Coalition, I feel like I'm accomplishing that. So mahalo for your time and for having me. My parents moved me to Honolulu Bay around September of 1989. And we lived there until 1992. That was the first time that I lived in Honolulu. In the early 2000s, my father later moved us back, where I stayed till, I want to say 2006, before I decided to spread my wings and grow up. During those years, some of my strongest memories in the early 90s was of my uncles fishing a bay. And even though there was a marine life conservation district, set up in 1978, my uncles were very strategic in a way that they would chase the akuli ball out of the bay using their akuli boats. And they would surround the akuli just outside of the boundary so that they wouldn't get in trouble. During those times, family, friends, and community would gather on the shore to help them bring in that day's catch. And to my family, fishing was never only about food for us. It was about connection, practice, and community. Honolulu back then felt peaceful. As a little girl, I could run, I could do whatever I wanted, really, until mom pulled my ear. But visitors still came. We saw tourists. That was like a daily thing for us. But the presence of local families were still strong. I still had cousins, I still had classmates, we still had aunties and uncles that would come and spend the day and just be on the island. Today, you don't see that. In fact, most of our local presence is only noticed during the winter swells when the surfers gotta catch their waves. In the 90s, I was also fortunate once we moved out to continue to go back to Honolulu and camp with my mama. During that time is when she would share her stories with me. And I even learned how to swim under her less than pleased supervision. I have so many stories I could share with you today that I could probably take you to the rest of the day if I didn't have this paper in front of me. But on a serious note, since the state's purchase in 2014, there's been little active management within the bay or enforcement. The Save Honolulu Coalition stepped up to provide porta potties when no one else would, and the installation of the Makai Watch, the only informational setup in the bay located right at the top of the boat ramp, besides the ever deteriorating Marine Life Conservation District sign. And then again, let's not forget the ongoing stewardship and advocacy done by this coalition that I can now proudly say I'm a part of. Despite these boat groundings caused by negligence and the continued overuse that has damaged what was once a thriving reef ecosystem, along with serious impacts to the coastal ecosystem and marine habitats within the bay. Today, Honolulu faces extreme pressure, like you heard earlier, with up to 1,600 visitors arriving by land and sea. 1,600. I think some of our public schools don't even have that many kids, if we're being honest. Overcrowding by visitors have pushed our local families away to the point where, honestly, if you talk to anyone, any local family that actually lives here during the summertime, they're not gonna go there because they don't want to. There's no space for us. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like almost on a daily, especially during the summer and the rain, we have this short video. And take note, in the video, you don't see a single local family. Honolulu has long been recognized as a place of kahuna, the spiritual order of the valley, supported by the surrounding valleys of Honokohau and its deeply sacred cultural landscape. Archaeological studies confirm the presence of multiple heiaus, a holua slide, agricultural terraces, house sites, and areas containing iwi kupuna, proving that Honolulu was once, as my mom described it, a thriving, highly organized, self-sustaining community. That way of life unfortunately ended in 1946 when the tragic tsunami struck the bay. forever significantly altering the shoreline and disrupting that long-standing community patterns. But even after that, cultural knowledge and spiritual presence still remain strong. I grew up hearing from my grandma that certain areas in the bay, actually the whole bay, required respect, especially at night. And as an adult, I was honestly surprised to learn that historian Inez Ashdown documented the same beliefs, that Honolulu was considered a place not to be entered at night or to make any kind. And the stories of the Huaka'ipo, or the night marchers that still walk the valley till today, that reflected the ongoing respect that is needed for the valley's spiritual presence. For example, in 2014, I took my husband and my oldest son for an overnight camping trip to go visit my dad. When we set up the camp, I did tell Dad that that's not where we're supposed to set up. Grandma said. And of course, he didn't listen. Being as young as I was, we did what Dad wanted, and let me tell you, all night, all we heard was footsteps walking back and forth. Honolulu is not only significant in that way, but it's also significant in the modern Hawaiian cultural renaissance. In 1976, the voyaging canoe Hokulea launched from Honolulu Bay, reviving the traditional navigation and cultural pride. The bay remains active today for voyaging, and we're awaiting the long-awaited return of Hokulea to the bay. It's also historically known for surfing. You cannot leave out the surfers. I don't know if you ever got a surfer that you left out. I remember. Honolulu is not, again, it's not just a historical site, it's a living cultural landscape. And protecting it supports cultural continuity, environmental stewardship, and community healing. And if I'm being honest, I practice that. Honolulu isn't only special because it's beautiful, it's special because it's home. The bay is again a marine life conservation district for a reason. It provides a critical habitat for our protected and threatened species like the monk seals, our spinner dolphins that you can see at sunset in the bay if there's not too many people. The reef manta rays and the honus, both green and hawksbill. It's also an important shelter for coral, spawning for reef fish, and was, as Uncle Roman stated, recognized as a shark nursery once upon a time, to which my ohana's Amakua Kamahuahoa resided and was cared for. My grandma was the last living pahu to that Amakua. And we wait for him to come back one day. And just keep in mind that whatever these slides are saying, it's not just statistics or information to me. These are living beings within the bay. They belong here. They're part of my ohana. And they depend on this place to be healthy and respected. But right now we're seeing real signs of stress and decline, with coral diversity and abundance declining, increased human pressure, unmanaged access, and physical impacts. They're all taking a toll on the ecosystem. And without the protection of these species, they lose their safe place to be. When we protect Honolulu with this acquisition, we're not just protecting scenery, we're protecting the entire web of life. Protection here is not just about reducing the impacts or protection here is about reducing impacts and giving the ecosystem room to recover. It needs a break, long story short. And making sure that these species, just like us, have some place to call home for generations to come. Because once they're gone, we cannot bring them back. Honolulu is one of the last places along the Maui Komohana coast where you can still feel open space. Protecting this area, as Elise said, really is a line in the sand. The point where we could say no more concentrated resorts or luxury homes or development. From Lahaina all the way to past Niti Fleming, so much land has already been developed and altered that Honolulu offers that rare relief from that. When you stand here, you can still see Mauka to Pu'ukui and Ike Crater and Makai across the Kailolo Channel to Molokai, which, if you ever get a chance to go to Honolulu and stand on the bay on the top of the boat ramp at sunset and watch the whales breach, I tell you, it's beautiful. This kind of open space just isn't about scenery. It supports cultural practice, community well-being, and environmental health. And a sense of balance that's disappearing in too many places in Hawaii. Protecting Honolulu means more than protecting the land. It means protecting perspective, connection, and integrity to the place. Once that space is gone, just like the ceiling, we're not gonna get it back. So this is our chance. This is our opportunity to hold the line and do right by the future generations that are sitting in this room right now. Okay, this slide, and I'm gonna lie, it's a little emotional for me because I gotta dig in the memory bank. So forgive me. The land just south of Honolulu Stream, my mama described to me as a gathering place during its prime. My mama shared stories of childhood there, and she described this place in particular as a place where school was held. She learned what she taught me in this place. It was a place where the neighboring communities from the outside valleys would come, barter and trade. They never operated on money during her childhood. It was barter and trade. Now, oh wait. She also talked about celebrations that happened, their birthdays, weddings, all those things. And even though they weren't as flashy as what we get today, they were still very special and very meaningful because at that time, everybody showed up, everyone harvested, and everyone worked together, just like you're trying to do at Maui. This place, it represents community connection and a shared responsibility. This is where our community belongs, a place where people can return to the land, learn the history of Honolulu, and work together to truly Malama'aina. This space has the potential to become, once again, a living classroom, a place where we can teach about the Ahupua'a system, about traditional gathering practices, and about how communities once functioned. Because nowadays, sometimes one person say something wrong, the other person feels some kind of way. Back then, we figured it out. This is a place for our youth, our family, culture, and our cultural practitioners to reconnect. It's not just to reconnect to the land, but to reconnect to each other. Open gathering space. Some of you actually had the opportunity to have lunch with us there. And I know you guys felt some kind of way, yeah? Because I do every time I go home. I'm not gonna lie. Right now, the space itself, this kind of space matters more than ever. After the fires, our community definitely needs a place to heal, places grounded in culture, place, and belonging. Honolulu can be that place if we take that step now. I wasn't always a board member for Safe Honolulu Coalition, but over the last 18 years of advocacy by the Safe Honolulu Coalition, I've witnessed how deeply Honolulu matters to many groups, not just Maiwana. It matters to lineal descendants, of which there are hundreds of us still here. Cultural practitioners, surfers, local family, conservationists, and visitors alike, we all love and adore Honolulu, and we only want what's best. Across all those voices, again, Honolulu is not just a resource, it's sacred and it's beloved and deserves our respect. With the acquisition, the work that we do as the Safe Honolulu Coalition can shift from advocacy to active stewardship. No longer do we have to operate within specific guidelines. We can do what has to be done. Where access is managed, where the bay is peaceful and resilient, where people can experience Honolulu with respect, where culture is taught and ecology as well, and where Honolulu becomes a true example of what it looks like to restore an Ahupua'a. The vision is alive, and the opportunity to make it real is right now. Now, in closing on my part, I just want to share that Honolulu Bay, at its highs and its lows, it shaped who I am today. It shaped how I raised my family, and it shaped the way I understand responsibility, community, and place. This is not just a beautiful bay. This is not just open land. It's not just a reef. Honolulu is a living cultural landscape. It's a place of ancestry, of practice, of memory, and most importantly, of healing. Right now, this place is asking for care, it's asking for balance, and it's asking for us to step forward with intention instead of continuing to look away. The opportunity is not just about the acquisition, it's about shifting from advocacy to action, from watching harm happen to actively protecting what remains. It's about creating a future where Honolulu is managed with care, where our local community is present again, where culture is taught, and where the land is respected. And most of all, it's where people can go to reconnect in the best possible way. Again, the vision is still alive. This is our moment to honor it. And this is our moment to make it real with your support. Mahalo again for your time and mahalo for considering the future of our beautiful Honolulu Bay.
Mahalo, B, John, Elise, thank you very much for that. Floor is open for commission. Would you care to ask anything of the applicants? It's.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll leave it to the. Mahalo nui, for your presentation. I wasn't there, like, I bombed, I couldn't go. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna ask a few questions, so hope you don't mind. You guys talked about a scale bridge, from Pu'u to Ako'ako'a work. Can you share more about what this would entail? Especially, I can see that the experience is on the marine conservation side. And, are you planning to work with partners and things like that, especially knowing there's Aloha Pukui and stuff? So can you speak more to that?
Well.
Check.
Hello.
Over that.
Pushing button.
Wait, it's working. Yeah.
Leaving button alone. Okay, so, yeah, it's in our mission statement, so we've really tried to embody that throughout the years. We have a great working relationship with Pomai Crozier and Aloha Pukui through the different versions. And now that we have a great working relationship with Ireland and Pine, it's really just been a pleasure to have us have the opportunity to expand further up into the Apua'a. We recently went up there to explore we needed to see that the diversion was not working anymore. And we just had this amazing meeting where we went up there where the diversion used to be, and we all stood in the stream that was flowing and really committed to get off to a new start, a new era, new leadership, new opportunities. So as far as connecting off, we have a vision of the Va'a being back into the bay. And as somebody who so dear told me recently that when the Va'a return, then we know we've connected the Apua'a. And Hannah Bernard is going to speak here in a second, and we really rely on her for a lot of the science regarding the marine biology. So that's certainly an important part of the Apua'a as well. So our partnerships with, I think we're really relying heavily on our partnership with Pu'ukukui to support each other to fulfill that. And also the Honolulu Advisory Committee, or the Conservation Action Plan, the Conservation Action Plan for Honolulu. We're working with Tova and Scott Crawford, and the work that they're doing to control sediment that we're supporting and are part of is also contributing to that. So did that, okay.
Yeah.
So, Commissioner Buck?
Yeah, thank you for that, the powerful presentation. First, I worked for DLNR for many years, and there's 8 years on the Water Commission, so I'm amazed you have so much good relations with Maui Land and Pineapple right now. First, I almost need to apologize for the county and state government to support a tourist industry and then depend on a community group to actually manage the area. So I can understand the importance of this commission approving the purchase of the land. But you talk about the kind of regulatory authority you would need and the partnerships to actually do the stewardship on that. And I'm familiar with Chipper and the Hyanna, which is great, but the end of the road, they're on the end of the road, so that kind of helps them a little bit. You guys are in the middle. You are not going to stop people from coming, and you'll always have an over. I reflect on Hanauma Bay on Oahu, which was overrun with tourists. It was loved to death. They did set up the regulatory to protect the bay, but still the people that live there don't go to Hanauma Bay because there's still too much people. So a challenge. It's a great challenge. I understand the importance of the land purchase to allow you to put in a position to begin a stewardship, active management. But what sort of partnerships and regulatory authority are you going to need to actually implement that?
Yeah. And, well, check. Okay. Wilmot, if there's any of these, you can come and join us, because if there's any of things that you want to share about these as our president, I would really love to hear that too. But, we have worked on this Pu'uhonua Cultural Sanctuary Plan pretty diligently, and we're still developing it because people are still coming forward that have valuable mana'o to add to it. But there's a model in here for controlling tourism by controlling parking. And we have to think of it in phases, because we can think of what it's going to be like in 3 or 4 years when the state can join us on this co-management. But with state parks, it's going to take a while for the departments to come together to implement state parks. So for a while, we have these phases we can go through. And so, I invite you to take a look at this plan. It's on our website. You can read a summary video, and I feel that you are correct. It is a challenge to consider how we're going to do it, but I feel comfortable that we can. And we can start with some tools that we already have, like our Makai Watch program, which is thriving, and a community that is chomping at the bit to be able to take care of this special place. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, and honestly, waiting on the state to do things is something that we're just kind of over. I personally pump out porta potties. I missed it today, so kalamai for all those folks that have dirty porta potties. But I never thought I'd be scrubbing porta potties this in pumping, and I'm driving to the other side. And we do this and all the other things because the state just can't. And you mentioned Nyland Pine, and I just want to say they're helping us. They're the ones that are talking as well, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. I don't know how they're funding all this stuff, but when it comes to machines or people on the ground to do work, or really good strategizing on how to make things better for our community that's healing after the fire, they're definitely doing their part. And so, they're contributing to helping control this as well. Kwame, did you want to say anything about that?
Oh, yeah, I'd like to say a lot of things. This is probably a mistake. But I love the question, because that question invites that kind of intelligent query that needs to be asked every day. The only time those kinds of questions get asked is when we're in meetings like this. Because quite frankly, after we all leave the door, nobody's going to be talking about DLNR again until the next DLNR meeting. And I'm being honest here. There are statutory provisions that are put in place to ensure that the accountability across board, not just for DLNR, but Kapolo Land, Aloha Pu'ukui, every nonprofit organization and every entity that is working in projects just like this, we all have rules, we all have statutes we need to comply with. Because those statutes are put in place to ensure that there's no adverse economic impacts, let alone any cultural impacts that can arise in the course of business, right? Honolua, before it became a business entity or a concern for the Department of Land and Natural Resources, these people were living there for more than 300 years. They were living in. It was a way of life. To the Ahupua'a question, they knew who was up at the peak. They had kupuna up there. Honolua was a place for la'alapa'au. How many of you know about la'alapa'au practitioners living today? So those people living in Honolua, they knew when they got money, when they got sick, they knew exactly who they could kahea. They didn't have to go and kahea Kaiser, Dilinar. It was already a way of life. They knew it. They knew all the plants that were essential to ensure that they were taken care of, and they would take care of each other. Now, fast forward to where we are. We have entities, Dilinar, Kapalua Land, Aloha Pu'ukui, Save Honolua Coalition. We are the aftermath. Kawa Mamua implies that we need to go back to the beginning. Kawa Mohopi means bringing that knowledge forward so that we can live in the here and now by the wisdom that was established by our kupuna without encroaching or infringed upon all the statutory provisions in place to make sure those rights are never encroached. To your question, we are working with partners and we'll continue to work with partners to ensure that shared vision moves forward. If we do not have a shared vision, places like Honolua will suffer. They will not exist for the next generation that's coming down the pipe. So, rules and statutes being in place, they're there to ensure that we are all accountable. There are unwritten rules that are also in place. That if you get kapulu kapakahi on this side of the veil, you will get your ear pulled by some kupuna on the other side who knows that you know what your kuleana is, and if you diverge, you will be pa'i. It's no different on this side of the veil. Now, I wanted to say something about kuleana lands because that question has already come up. There are laws that put in place that invoke the rights of all those who are lineal descendants of the kupuna that received the original award. We, as an organization, we don't have the judicial authority nor the expertise to encroach, dictate, or infringe upon those kuleana rights. That's already established by the law of 1850, upheld by the statutory provisions that are existing today under 183(5)(c). See, this is why I said it's a mistake to give you the mic. We're working with members of our local government, right? That's what these officials are in that place for. We get to make them accountable. And mahalo to them. They threw in their support, they throw it in their kakoa. That tells you this has much broader impact than just for those of us looking at Honolua. This is, dare I say, this is not just Maui County-wide. This is bigger than Hawaii. There are people, descendants, who have lived away from Honolua for the last 40 years who are coming home. And they still feel their childhood when they come to Honolua. That's why this place is deserving of all of our ano, all of our mana, our collective commitment to this to make it happen. And I assure you, whatever decisions you make, if you decide in the positive that we should get this funding, that is not something to be taken lightly. This kuleana is going to outlive me. I guarantee you. It's that kind of a project. It's a project of a lifetime. But if we work together, the kupunas on the other side, they love that. They love to see pilina, lokahi. We can do this. I believe that we all have the capacity. We are all hanau iamai, beautiful, gifted, intelligent. We are collaborators on a wonderful journey that create a future that is yet to be coming was envisioned by our kupuna. but it's gonna take all of us. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Akala. Mahalo for sharing that. In regards to, you folks talked about sacred sites, you folks talked about Honolulu, Heiau, you talked about Iwi Kupuna. Can you talk more through, like, what's your plan to protect them? What's your, do you guys have a burial treatment plan already in place? Are you working with lineal descendants, things like that?
So currently. Oh, okay. So currently, I am the 5th generation lineal descendant. I don't only speak for myself. A lot of my cousins are in support. We do have cousins that are not. But over the years, to honestly see, first of all, my aunties sitting in the same room as Mawilan and Pine. That's in itself a big win. As far as the history that I know. And then as far as the sacred sites, I mean, the first thing we gotta do is find them. That's why we gotta acquire it. I know some, Grandma showed me some, but with the vast overgrowth of the bay, it's nearly impossible to find them. So through this acquisition, that would give us, the coalition and our community, the opportunity to put in permits to try and abide by these modern Western laws to uncover and find these sites. Some of them are still apparent, which we do take care of, share a little bit with you. On our particular Kuleana parcel, there was a Hanau stone that my mama showed me years ago. And when I returned this time, back in October, to do some cleanup of our area, the stone still remains. So I and my son, who's not here with me today, we actually created kind of like a protective barrier out of the stones that are already on the property. So by acquiring the lands, that would give us the opportunity to properly uncover these sites that are there and recorded.
So my ohana was responsible for developing the burial treatment plant for Kohana Iki on the Big Island of Hawaii. And so we worked with State Historic Preservation Division and DLNR in crafting that, and that's become kind of a model. And so to answer the question, we know that these existing procedures are out there, and definitely I want to incorporate it. In the previous administration for Kapalua, several previous administrations, I remember having a conversation about the kupuna sleeping in Honolulu Valley. And the question was really around access and restricting or prohibiting access to these sacred places. And so my take to the president in charge at the time was, a kalamai, but there is enough documentation you've provided that have already affirmed the existence of kupunas. That alone tells me I have access. And there is no law on this side where you can go to court and restrict that access because you already confirmed my ancestors are in that valley. And therefore, by virtue of the statutory provisions of HRS 7-1, which is the Civil Code of 1859 from section 1477, access is guaranteed. That was enough. That was the other conversation. We're really talking about Kuleana. These questions are really important because it helps us to sharpen our focus on what that Kuleana is. Going forward, that mana'o about the burial treatment plan, that's not normal vocabulary. Nobody talks about burial treatment plans every day. Maybe we should. And if doing that, then we as a community can feel more a proactive part of what that Kuleana is. Because truth be told, there's thousands, hundreds of thousands of kupuna, some more than 700 years old. A good example, Honokohua Burial Preserve, that are at risk if we don't put a mitigation in place, because they will be unearthed. And that was an example. Honolulu has, in talking with the descendants, there are more than 700 plus kupuna that are scattered throughout the valley. 700. It's no wonder that place makes your hair stand up or chicken skin at night. Now, mind you, we are not the only ones who have had the experience. There have been visitors through the years that say that there's something about Honolulu that is very real and very tangible. They can't actually put any words to it, but they know that Honolulu is living, it's alive, it's breathing. And it takes all of our collective mana aloha to keep that sacredness intact. It is the one sure place where I guarantee you, my students, I teach Hawaiian studies over at the Maui Prep Academy. My students go there to that place and it does something to them. It helps them. 90%, not Kanaka, by the way, but it helps them equalize. They see what the kupunas saw. They see what we are seeing. And they're learning to develop a deeper appreciation and a sense of kuleana. Mahalo.
Oh my, last one, I promise.
You know, I wish you was there with us.
I know, see, I was supposed to be there. I was supposed to be there, yeah, right, me and Tori was supposed to be there. And this is actually more of a comment because, you know, you're so thorough, this application is so thorough. I looked over the conservation plan, it's awesome. I only have one comment, page 18, you guys talk about social cultural indicators, but when I read your table, I don't see any cultural indicators. I would love to see some kind of indicators that you call out, having a 5th generation, 100 lineal descendants, things like that, I think would be good to, for even for us as Kanaka today, that's you know, that's Ikepili, right? That's Ikekupuna. And those are things for us now, this generation, we need to record because that's part of our mo'olelo, our continuous mo'olelo. So if you could, you know, and I'm sure you probably may have put it in the Honua plan. Like when I saw Honua Honolulu, I was like, whoa, where's that? And I started trying to go look for it. So, you know, in some aspects, if that's a possibility, I think to me, it's, you know, that's just calling out, I think, this next evolution of what you folks are doing. So mahalo to all of you for that. So that's just my last comment. So mahalo.
I want you on the board.
Anytime, I would like to, you know,
You are really speaking to the core of all of this. What we're talking about is going back to who we've always been, right? We have forgotten that. And for you to suggest or make the comment that we need to have these markers in place, shaka, good catch, absolutely. I had the occasion where I had completely forgot myself and was very casual in my relationship with the kupuna, and I literally had my hair pulled. And I had to hug the nearest noni tree. And that noni tree is situated right where her tutu, her ohana are buried. And I said, Kalamai kupuna, I forgot my place. And so I started this chant, and it just came to me and just flowed out of me. And when I started the chant, the wind stopped. And as soon as I was finished, I could feel this gentle, real ahi makani kind, just come and embrace me. Whew. You know, for us who lived here for almost 2,000 years, that is real. It is who we've always been. And you never get opportunities like that until you start to make the effort to reach out beyond the veil so that they can tell you, oh, kalamai, o pio, kalamai. You don't go that direction. Aka, if you're looking for the medicinal plants of this valley, you ask me, and I will show you that kind. Yeah. Instead of relying on the science, the pala vale no, the doctorates, etc. This kind, you don't need doctorate. You need to ho'olohe. You need to ho'omana, that kind. Because the kupuna is going to only talk to you if you are the namu and you're a makakao, you like listen, right? Hard for people who've never been taught that way. So, our kuleana, yeah. Those of you, keiki o ka aina, wahana ia mai no ike alahi e ia moku, e koho ai pa aina, is our kuleana. Ka ko'o. and help those who are trying to help us so that they can better understand and ensure that the decisions they make are in line, not just with what we're asking for, but the kupuna. Because that is very real, and shame on us for not remembering them, because without them, there is no us. And without us, there is no tomorrow.
Comments, remarks from the commission?
She don't like ask now.
Um,
I mean, if before that,
that's a yes.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you for your presentation. My comment is, I didn't go on the field trip because I love Honolulu and I knew I wanted the others to be able to get there. I haven't seen it, so thank you. The property boundaries are very much aligned with DOT boundaries, and so I just wanted to hear if you've had how are you working with Department of Transportation for kind of right of way and all of the negotiations that would happen, and that's just based on the
Good.
the TMK, which is, hey, you need to work with the DOT here.
Okay,
Oh.
okay. Check, okay.
So we've done quite a bit of work with the state already, and there's a commitment on their part, and I think it's actually written. Yeah, it's written in the broad-reaching Honolulu to Honolulu management plan we spent so much time on. It's written in there to have the tool to control parking. And Maryland Pine actually has power to do that as well, and they're very committed to that as well. So I feel like that part's pretty well handled.
It's not written, but I just want the communication being enough open, that's okay.
Yeah, communication's good, and you know, like I said, State Parks is committed to co-managing with us, and Chipper has shown us through HAENA how important it is. It's like the most important tool to be able to control the parking. So I feel like that's handled. And just while we're talking about that, I do want to just say, for anyone who's interested, the parking that is going to be there is going to be prioritized for our community. And visitors will be shuttled in and off-site parking that's already set up.
Okay, if there's no further remarks from the commission, we can open up for the testimony. We received quite a bit of written testimony. I may not have seen it all yet, but I assure you we will. So are there, I don't see any hand raised on the
I think we brought in some special testifiers.
Okay, yeah, we'll get to that. Well, I've been instructed to look at some first, but I'm not seeing any hand raised, so if you have testifiers here, if you would like to testify in person, come up one at a time, identify yourself, and we'll be happy to hear you.
Hello, my Falco. My name is Tamara Colte and I am testifying on behalf of myself as a private resident of West Maui. I don't have anything prepared. I just wanted to say that, entrusting the stewardship of Honolulu Bay to the lineal descendants and the residents of Honolulu is the best thing that you could do. When we know better, we do better. In my previous job, I worked at Honolulu Bay, also known as DT Fleming's Beach Park, for about 17 years. And prior to the existence of the Save Honolulu Coalition, Wilmot and Dee sparked a memory in their story I think it could have been 2003 or so, when the fishermen dropped their akule catch. And if you know about akule, it's kind of a fragile fish when you surround and it bangs the net, it's done, it's dead. And it was an accident, a mistake, not on the scale of a grounding of a luxury yacht or a tourist commercial boat, it's just an accident. And we got so I was an ocean safety officer. We got told on the 911 system called by DLNR, because the snorkel tour boats would come 3, 6, 10 a day. And the call was to chase the sharks out of Honolulu Bay because the snorkelers were there. And if you recall, Honolulu Mokuleia was created as a marine life conservation district in 1978 for the protection of marine life. And so then when I became involved with Save Honolulu in about 2006, 2007, it really made me think like, how is removing the mano from Honolulu Bay protecting marine life? And do the snorkelers really want to snorkel with dead akule falling all around them? And so as we know better, we need to do better. And in my mind, there's nobody that through, the past couple of decades to where we've gotten will steward the bay better than the lineal descendants and the residents. And regardless of the plans, the conservation action plan, the community-based management plans and whatnot, simply by being present, it'll be a better stewardship than what it is right now. Because we have, without them, tourists educating other tourists on things that nobody knows about. I'm not just saying this because it seems obvious that lineal descendants and the residents would be the best steward. Their track record shows it. I was involved with Save Honolulu for about 15 years. And a lot of that time, I wrote grants to get money to pay for porta potties, to pay for cleanups at Honolulu Bay. And when that ended, we asked the state, like, hey, you guys are making money off of this. Can you sponsor the porta potties? And then it came to a point where no company would even bring porta potties out there, no matter how much we paid. And so the resident started a porta potty company, Big John's. And if that isn't love, I mean, I'm sure John didn't grow up wanting to do a porta potty business. But I think that speaks to doing whatever it takes to ensure that the place is taken care of. And that's not even going into how long it took for us to get a permit to be able to place a porta potty there on our own money so that people weren't using the bushes and other sacred sites. So really these type of places in living through a time of COVID and living through the aftermath of the fire, the second place that I went to on August 9th after waking up was Honolulu Bay. And the thought in my mind was like, we don't have power, we can't call anybody, we can't know what's going on. But I know my friend lives in Honolulu and I know he's off grid. And so maybe nothing's down for him, and it wasn't. And took myself and my aide in and we watched, Sylvia Luke on the news. We watched the flyover of Lahaina town and there's no other place that I would have liked to have seen that than at Honolulu because it is a sanctuary. The legacy of Honolulu is that it's It's a sanctuary for remembering our path to Tahiti. It's a sanctuary for the fish and the ecosystem. It's a sanctuary for the lineal descendants and the residents of this place. And it has not been managed well by our state and local government. And we've seen the track record of government, and we've seen the track record of the people that live and are from there. And I'll take the track record of the people that live and are from there every single time. You cannot pay them to carry you. They'll be there outside of their day jobs. They'll be there, just simply for the love of Honolulu. For whatever that I've put into Honolulu, I've gotten back tenfold, including they let me surf the first responder military contest that they just had the other month. And it was just about my size these days. And yeah, if there's any legacy for the diaspora that has become Lahaina, it's to steward Honolulu correctly and preserve the legacy that it means to the people of Lahaina, to the people of Maui, to the state of Hawaii, to the world and beyond. Thank you.
With that, other best question? Oh, it's going to do that. Yes. Great point for you, and also the last person, could you tell us your name for the record?
Oh my. Kamara, P-A-L-T-I-N.
Amara. Mahalo for all of that. That was excellent. I'd just like to ask what your sense of the council, the administration, Maui County's Liana for supporting, continuing support for the efforts to really support what's going on on the boat.
Our number one goal is the repopulation and rebuild of Lahaina and the public structures. We do have district grant funds available. And that was one of the top reasons I stepped down from the board, so that there is no conflict of interest and that the board could apply for county funds. Just to be safe, I haven't earmarked them for Safe Honolulu because of my long relationship on the board. But there is various funding available for ecological, cultural endeavors, although the state has purchased it. The county doesn't have a direct nexus, but there are funds available to be applied for.
Oh. Thank you.
Aloha everyone, my name is Leo Ryder, and I had this, but I'm just gonna highlight. I'm the kahu of Kukuipuka Heiau in Ilio Kukuipuka, which overlooks, it's the beginning of the Ka'anapali moku, of which Honolulu is a part of. And if you are looking at Eke, if you continue over Eke, Kukuipuka is the companion of Honolulu. Kukuipuka means the doorway to the light. And this is a very familiar vahipana that embraced the entire moku of Ka'anapali. About 20 years ago, I was invited by the mayor at that time to come out to Honolulu to mediate a process between Save Honolulu Coalition, Maui Land and Pine, and I would say Maui County, who had found themselves in a bit of a situation. And at first I declined. And then I thought about it. I thought, okay, I'll do my best to come in and talk story with these beloveds. And I can remember being there, and you had the pain of the past sitting across, and you had the lineal representation. You had those that were newcomers to saving Honolulu, because at that time they wanted to build the luxury villas over our beautiful surf spot. Imagine that. And so I had the privilege of sitting across from John and Tamara and the various ones, as well as the Maui Land and Pine beloveds. And as excruciating as it was for everybody, we came to honor and respect each other, and we learned valuable lessons from each other. The value of being compassionate, deep listening, giving each other space to speak kindly to each other, to truly listen to the depths. And what you're witnessing today is part of that generosity. What you're witnessing today was our government 20 years ago, our county, wanting desperately to bring our community together, who are passionately and fearlessly fighting for their right to surf, their right to fish, their right to gather, their right to live like all humanity wants to live on this planet. Honolulu is no different from what's happening on the global scene. Honolulu is simply reminding us that it has eyes. It is the heartbeat of our Honolulu. Now we have many boxes to check, because this is a state committee of which I'm so grateful that you are sitting there and I am not. And at the same time, you are witnessing the privilege of our beloved lineal descendants who are here to stand in their authentic essence as Kanaka, as beloveds of this Aina, that have walked the path, the dust upon their feet, the prayers of their ancestors, the rains tasted in the breath, the salt of the sea cleansing themselves. This is what Honolulu is about, from Mauka to Makai. One of the beautiful things that is happening now is that Maui Land and Pine is in the picture, making pono. We pray for that unkind legacy that has destroyed and taken away and removed what Hawaii wants to see and feel. Hawaii wants to feel herself, that mauliness that we are all familiar with anywhere we go in these hallowed lands. And it is this moment where we have this opportunity to allow for that breath of spirit, that maulino, to reach out into our pu'uvai and simply do the right thing. We know what is pono. We know the historical damage and wounds in our bones. But today, we have the opportunity together in Lokahi to make right. the Honolulu Coalition had a fierce task. One of the things they had to go through was actually speaking to each other. Those that wanted to save the bay, to stop the desecration of luxury. And they had to make pono with all the different lineal descendants first. They had to come together in that way first. Make pono that way, and then Maui Land and Pine, and then beyond that. So from Mauka to Makai, from Eke through Honolulu, across to Halawa and Molokai, there is relationship. Inside the marine sanctuary and across are ahus, pulleys that were given. And it took the pulley all the way to the very beginning of our essence, back to our motherland and our fatherland, including Aikopika. So we are living in times, yes, it is 2026, but you know what? We are the seeds of preservation marinating in our bones. And it is this that is the call. This that is the truth. And this that is the way for Mauli'ula, for all our lineal descendants of the planet to be able to find comfort and healing in Honolulu. Mahalo.
Hear what you wrote down.
I wish I wrote it down, but I didn't.
Well, that testimony is gonna make me cry. And they say men shouldn't cry.
In this room.
Cry. Now that's to the child that's crying because they were in the fire. Tell them, why are you crying? Why are you crying? But Daddy, we don't have a home. We don't have a home. A lot of great shares from our community, from our family. I would thank you first of all for being here, for listening. My name is Glenn Lamont, Dr. Glenn. I come up here because I think the support on the local police. They have done so well, so much. In the first beginning, I was really having a challenge because I'm a surfer. What's St. Honolulu Coalition gonna do? But then I realized I'm a fisherman before I surf. I come from a fishing family. Our family used the boat ramp at Honolulu Bay when it was possible. We would go down to my uncle's house at Kahana, load up the boat with the nets, with the lao, and we go hukila. Hukila. You tell that to anybody and you say, you dance hukila. And I look at them and I go, you want to feel a backhand slap? Hukila for us was a way of life. We fished that. We fished from Kahakaroa all the way to Oluwatu, Hukila. Found areas that were sandy that we can drop our net and the kid would go and pull the lao and disconnect the lao. Because 50 feet of lao is on that string all the way. Special place. We camped a lot there, my family, my dad and mom, our family camped there a lot. And we also fished a lot. There was so much life in that ocean then. This is talking about back in the mid-50s for me when I was able to get in the water and fit and learn how to fish from my dad. Taught us how to fish, how to live off the ocean. Well, you can go to, there was no McDonald's there. There was no Jack in the Box. Nope. You have to learn how to eat what's in the ocean. You have to learn what to grow on land. Like that. You have to learn how to grow your own carrot. Like that. You have to learn how to go out there and go cut Cali wood because you need to heat the water. Hot water. But Honolulu Bay. Spent so much time out there over the weekend, and we fish every Sunday. Every Sunday in the Bukila. Grandma, 1947, was the pastor of our church, the Kahan Dorothy Church. She knew where we were. She knew we were fishing. Families also knew where we were. After we're done Bukila, we go down to Mount Kapau, separate all the fish. Family would come from church. Get their share and go home. Honolulu Bay is a very special place. Uncle John Lihau Kahui was brought out to Honolulu Bay from Hunt. Take care of the cattle. To help build the home. John. I'm from Hunt. Along with him comes his brother, my grandpa, George Penn. They worked for the Baldwin Packers because they were bulldozer operators. Honolulu Bay. Spent a lot of time with John during the crowning of the Nahor. But I was allowed to go with John, be close to the creek. Tore me apart. It tore me apart. Strained my spiritual side. Because Papa was hurt. She got torn apart by this carelessness of this. Took me a long time to get that back, get my spirit back. But because of my belief, not just my Hawaiian belief, but also my spiritual belief in the Lord, it helped put me through. Still, it's very, very difficult for me to see all that's happened. I grew up in a time there was no hotel. None of these luxury homes. Only road we had out of the TV, out of Honolulu was the lower road. We go backside on the dirt road through the hospital. My growing up time was the best time ever. You know, unfortunately, at this day and age, the young people now busy doing this now. They're exercising their thought. Exercising when it should be learning about what life we have. Yes, it's like, but also God says, "You my lama, okay? You my lama." So, what else can I say about Honolulu? Other than Honolulu has been so kind to me, our families, our fishing family, of giving us the availability of all the fish like seaweed like. You know, as I said, we do wow a lot of effort. But our best was just being together, fishing as a family. Don't see that anymore. You know why? Because a lot of the families are so busy. Doing what? Where's your kids? What are your kids doing? They don't know. That's why Honolulu Bay is so important. Because eventually we will work to the point where we can gather our kids, gather the families, and come out on a little bit. Not to come out there to work, come out there and learn about Honolulu Bay, learn about that area. I'm gonna share this one short. I'm 75% Hawaiian. My mom is 100% Hawaiian. She's from Hana. Father is from Kahaloa. Half. One Chinese. My former wife of 20 years said to me, you need to go up with these people up to the burial site at the Ritz-Carlton. You need to get involved with that. I did not accept my Hawaiians. Why? Because I worked for a hotel. I worked there for 40 years and I retired from the hotel. Uncle Moku Pali and I and 11 of us walked up the road, the old road from Honolulu Beach up to the burial site. Uncle Party and Oli from Hawaii Island was there to do the wailing ceremony. The wailing ceremony was to ask for forgiveness. For forgiveness, what we have done. We have removed you from your resting place. So we could build a hotel. I worked at a hotel. I was very torn because I worked for a hotel. I started working there when I was 13. Worked there till I retired. Honolulu Bay is going through some change for the better. For the better. The betterment, not just for the community out there, but for the island, for the state. So that they get to come out and learn about Honolulu. It's not just a search. It is a spot that's still there. Still dry. Oh.
For being here. We can share each members. So appreciate you and for sharing our grief with us. And over the grief of so much loss. And Honolulu has been going through this decline since way before the fire, as you well know. So to have this place with still some hope that we can do something there, that we can have a place again that we can retreat to, that we can have spiritual and physical and cultural renewal is really important to us. I'm Hannah Bernard, and I'm the director of Hawaii Wildlife Fund. I'm co-founder, together with another former National Marine Fisheries Service scientist, Bill Gilmartin, back in 1996. And I do need to read because I had the dubious distinction of being asked to share information about my background. And I had to review. I'm old and I've done a lot here. I was in a film with Leo Ryder that was made about our Honolea, our Hawksbill sea turtles, called Red Turtle Rising. And Kelly Eli Shaw was in the film as well. And I'll never forget what he said. If you're gonna live here, do something. Give back. I know I still live here. So I took that to heart. So also in 2021, 2021, we, Hawaii Wildlife Fund, received support from Brookfield Properties to build the Hawaii Wildlife Discovery Center. It's in the shopping center in an area that the marketing people seem to call Ka'anapali, but it is the Motu o Lahaina. And we're trying to help teach people what the right name of that area is and provide a place for people who come here to better respect places like Honolulu by learning about how to respect our place. So I've been working as a marine biologist, studying, teaching, protecting endangered species, leading trips around the world, all over the Pacific, for the last 44 years, but 34 of those have been here in Hawaii. And although I've worked all around the Pacific, even into Papahanaumokuakea, my primary focus has always been here in Hawaii. So since 2003, through the genesis of the Alepui Network, founded by Uncle Matt Poi Poi, and I found this great old article in Hanho, I'll pass it around, entitled The Return of the Konihiki. And so through his founding of Alepui, I was gifted with the opportunity to work with our communities since then. To help in recovery of the health of our nearshore ecosystems. I've served on numerous boards, and both federal and state, county, local, working to help implement the Marine Mammal Protection and Endangered Species Act. And I've been on all these different advisory groups in order to help recover the health of our nearshore waters. And because of my experience in all these groups, including a Pacific Scientific Review Group as a Hawaii regional representative, the membership of 2 marine mammal take reduction teams in 2 different fisheries, Gillnet Offshore Fishery and Hawaii Longline Fleet, also on board the Hawaii National Marine Sanctuary Council, and then also co-founded a number of other entities, including our state Makai Watch Program, Maui Coral Reef Network, Maui Reef Fund, and then the Hawaii Hawksbill Recovery Implementation Program, Sierra Club, Surfrider, Ahihiki Na'u Advisory Group, and Ohana Coalition Steering Committee. Because of all of these, I believe I have a little bit of an understanding of Hawaii's marine conservation concerns, sourced by this long history of working collaboratively with our communities and agencies on a range of these efforts to improve the marine environment. I think I also have a pretty good idea about what is and is not effective. For example, I advocate the decolonization of marine spatial planning, incorporating a hupua'a management to address the user conflicts and also advocate for community-based fishery resources and help recover our depleted fisheries. So I seek and honor and value the role of the Indigenous knowledge and community and committed to uplifting traditional practitioners and communities. And that is one of the reasons why I have been focused on Save Honolulu Coalition for more than 20 years. I've also worked with our communities to organize and to provide expert testimony in several landmark cases to protect our nearshore waters, including the Super Ferry Hawaii Environmental Policy Act violation and Lahaina Wastewater Treatment Plant's Clean Water Act violations. As these 2 issues heated up in 2007, DLNR published this little white paper on the status of Maui's coral reefs. And you'll notice up here, if you haven't seen this before, have you folks gotten a copy of this in your documents? There's a graph up here that shows the decline of Honolulu Bay over the course of about a decade from 1995 to 2005, from 42% coral cover to about 9%. So during the time of these awakenings to the loss of our coral reefs and threats to our coral reefs, and this paper coming out, the Save Honolulu Coalition was born. Honolulu Bay was known as the coral biodiversity hotspot back then, but because the coral cover had decreased, and because of all the concerns of our communities about the pending development at Honolulu, we think that this study was the tipping point for the West Maui community to come together and fight to protect Honolulu Bay. So as you all know, state enabled the purchase of these lands by 2014. Here we are 12 years later. So we've participated in this lengthy process of community-based planning, management planning, resulting in two pretty good plans. Although, as one of our commissioners has pointed out, there's some gaps. So the Honolulu to Honokaha Management Conservation Action and the Conservation Action Plan are only as effective as if they're implemented. And that's why we, the Save Honolulu Coalition, work together to come up with the Pu'uahonua Cultural Sanctuary Plan. Because the process has been so painfully slow, and threats to the reef have only increased with the boat groundings. And in fact, we think the coral cover has decreased now to about 8%. That's Russell Sparks' personal communication. We feel like the time is now very critical that we take action that goes beyond simply looking at our action plans and finding the gaps and not doing anything about it. It has been said that we live in the age of triage, where we are looking at our resources through the lens of EMT responders. We have to decide what is still fine, what cannot be saved, and what can we focus our energy on that will rebound. Honolulu is that place. Honolulu can't wait. It can rebound. It is a place that has so much going for it that even though it's in decline, we believe it can turn around if we have that support and base with this land acquisition. With Bus for Public Land and Maui Land and Pine collaborating to protect this critical section of land at the Bay, coupled with this action plan, we know that we have a chance. We at Save Honolulu Coalition will elevate our ability to implement the actions that reduce and eventually eliminate the degradation of the Bay. With all of this energy and good involvement from our community, long history, I believe now is the time. I don't think there's any doubt that the time is critical. The coral reef is already under threat from so many outside threats that if we don't take charge of them where we can in these nearshore waters now, there will be nothing left. So I urge you to please support us in moving forward with this plan, which is sourced by all these great community members and has been in the making for more than 20 years. Thank you so much for your time.
We really need to move on. This has been going on for 3 hours. There's another applicant yet. We sent today, so in fairness to that applicant, I hope that we did all the testimony we can on this particular project. Thank you very much for that presentation. Appreciate it very much.
Beautiful.
Commission need a quick 5-minute break. 5 minutes, we are in recess. Wow. What's yeah, this. Sitting here again. It's great. These guys. Yeah. A lot of pieces. Working on it. Couple other places. I'll know it up. And you can with him. What?
So I'm not planning to be tomorrow, to. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, wait. Tomorrow.
recess. Next up is item B5. Thank you for your patience, applicants. This is an application from Self-Sponsored Sports for $982,150 to acquire approximately 5.174 acres at Route 7 Resilience, District of Ko'olaupoco, Island of Oahu. Tax map key number 14-7-005:002. Kim, Nene?
Yes.
Nene is presenting for Self-Sponsored Sports. Take it away, Kim.
Thank you guys so much for being.
Yes, thank you for your patience. It's been a long day.
I'm gonna let Gavin on. I don't know, we open up. So one of our guys, he got sick with the flu, so he's online today, but he's actually the one who put this whole chat together for the farm that we've been going. Who we let?
Are they already in the Zoom?
He should be already in the Zoom. Yeah, he's been on it.
So if he wants to unmute his mic, he can feel free to speak now.
Gavin, if you hear, there you go. Exclaim, go ahead.
Eo mai. Aloha e nā mamo Maui a kama. Eu. Okay. Ea ke ia oli. I had written this oli, parked my FJ on the side of the street and kiloed up into the Kuahivis. Into the Kuahivis we go. The highest point of our space is called Eleau. And as we go down, if we were rain, we would follow it down. Taraing is the Ko'olaus. Po ai hale is that climbing wind from the ocean all the way up to Eleau. And it trickles down in the Ala Uhivai or Uli'i Makoli. As you go slant your way down from these mountain ridges, you'll find yourself almost plateauing out. This space is called Nana I Ka'alaya, in which we look to Ka'alaya, the Ahupua'a that comes right after Waihe'e. Dazzling is the Kalahaku mountain ridge, which is the ridge that stands right in parcel or lot 14. It hovers and cradles itself, our Aina, in its arms. As the Lanis, the rain, the mountains swoop down, it meets with Waihe'e River, in which the Waihe'e River gives us life, gives the koko of our Aina, gives the breath and the vitality to the plants, which abides and thrives there. Then we become Ho'aina, land tenants, caretakers of this space, known to us as Kahalu'u. Eo mai. We are Ho'ainas of Kahalu'u.
Thank you, Davin.
You're welcome.
Okay, so just a little bit on nonprofit. So right now, we're mainly, we're thriving on the Makai. The Kakai, we run these beach cleanup and clinics. And, it started off as something just fun to just get the beaches clean. And so now with the curiosity of the kids, we really want to move more into teaching them Mauka to Makai and why it's so important that we take care of both of them. And the responsibility, when we do these clinics, there's at least 100 to 150 kids that come out to these. Our beaches get clean. And with that, I mean, we have volunteers, the pro bodyboarders will come out and these kids are so excited for it. So that's how we encourage the kids to come out. And which is kind of the same thing that we have planned for Mauka. But we do want to go ahead and give you a little bit of background first, which Justice will go ahead and do.
Did everybody stand up? I think I feel bad. Like I'm standing up, but you want to. Oh shoot, I like them like. Yeah. Hello, my Kako guys. My name is Justice Kaleo Kupina Yoka Ehu. I am actually from Kaneohe. I'm also raised around Kahalu'u as well, so I'm pretty much to these areas. And so basically what I kind of wanted to do for you guys is give you guys a little bit of history on Kahalu'u, the area in which our parcel lies in. Some of you may know some of this history, some of you may not, so feel free to kind of talk. So this area that our Aina is in, or the Ahupua is setting is in Kahalu'u, which is pre-contact part of the bigger Kaneohe region. This area within that Kaneohe Bay region functioned as the primary population center back in those pre-contact days alongside with Waikiki, Lu'uahu, Manoa, those areas, right? So regional estimates around that time suggest that there was tens of thousands of residents that were supported by Ahupua'a throughout this Kaneohe Bay area or region, right? And with that knowledge, it indicates that there is obviously a very complete and functioning Ahupua'a system that was able to sustain all of these Ohanas and these Kanaka that lived within those lands, right? So with knowing that as well, we understand that Lo'ikalo were very prevalent back in the days. They're still prevalent to this day now. Also, local I'a were also prevalent in those areas. One still standing today, which we now know as the Kahalu'u fish pond, but the original name being Kahone. And again, alongside those things, if we understand that, we also know that Heiau were prevalent, Punawai were prevalent, right? That water source was very, very prevalent back in the day and is still there to this day, right? So kind of transitioning now, out of the pre-contact, I wanted to kind of move into the 1800s. And that's where, again, we still understand that this area was thriving, right? With Lo'ikalo, local I'a, still Heiau and Punawai. As we transition kind of into the mid 1800s, that was when rice, sugar, right, all of those things and livestock were beginning to be introduced to that land. So some key families I wanted to throw out there, but again are not limited to are the McFarland family and the Stewart family. Joseph Stewart, along with his wife Catherine Stewart, were actually one of the first to introduce rice cultivation as well as sugar cultivation. Right, and I also wanted to point out that they were using already existing wetland terraces for these things, right? So kind of shows the transition of how it went from Lo'ikalo to rice, right, and to sugar. Another big person I wanted to point out was Henry McFarland. There was actually a Catholic school and church that was built in Kalu'u, which he later purchased and turned into the dairy farm that I'm sure a lot of us know about now, right? Nowadays, if you guys drive into Kalu'u, you'll also see the hygienic store, which was opened back then to provide products, right, resources to the workers and to the families that were living in this rural area of Kalu'u and Waihe, Ka'alaya, and the surrounding Ahupua'a. And then as time again continued to go on, residential communities became more prevalent as more people came to work and live in these plantations, right? Moving on to the 1900s, that is when it shifted again from rice, sugar, to now pineapples for just a short amount of time. Libby McNeil and Libby, they were actually the ones who established the first large-scale pineapple cannery in that area. That whole plantation area eventually became known as Libbyville. That was a kind of a general, you guys know. But again, this didn't last very long due to that Aina becoming less productive when it came to pineapples, and it was way more costly for them to have it there versus other places like Honolulu, right? And then after that, it kind of shifts back again to livestock and dairy, right? So you can kind of see throughout this time period, these lands definitely shifted with what was going on it, but agriculture and livestock and things like that were still kind of the main thing that was happening in those areas. Again, in the early 1900s is when Hawaii became a territory, and then later on became a state in 1950s, right? During that time, as we're shifting into a state, more people are finding out about us, right? In Kahaluu, in the whole island, all of the islands start to become talked about, right? And people start to travel here, and that's when tourism kind of slowly starts to make its way up, right? But transitioning again now from the 1900s to what Kahaluu is today. I'm sure a lot of you have been through Kahaluu, know what Kahaluu is about. When you drive through, you know it's a residential community, rural residential community, but still with a good amount of people living there. I put on there's around 5,300 people living in Kahaluu as of the 2020 census. And still to this day, we see as Kahaluu continues to grow and transition into more residential development. But with that being said, Kahaluu is still very rich in our history and our culture, right? There's still Lo'ikala that are ancient there that are being taken care of now by other nonprofit organizations such as Kai'olua Kahaluu. I know they do some stuff over there, maintaining Lo'ikala. Some other ones in that area are also Key Project. You guys probably heard about Key Project. They do a lot of youth empowerment as well. I've been blessed to be able to work with youth Key Project a few different times. Which again opened up my third eye to what Kahaluu really has to offer to our community. And again, even as you drive through Kahaluu and you really take a look at the stream, you take a look at the mountains, you take a look at our local i'i'as, you can see that everything is still reflecting the Ahupua'a system that once was there and that can still be there, right? Yeah. Shift over to lot 14. So Kalamai for that. That was not like that when I made it. I don't know why it's overlapping. I promise I did not do that, but okay. But lot 14 today, so that in that white kind of line picture, you can see where the parcel is that we are gutting for. Right now it is owned and operated by an uncle named Stanley Asato. I love that guy. There's not really much I can say other than I love that guy. I've spent a good amount of time talking slurry with him, kind of getting to know the Aina, getting to know what his goal is for the Aina and really why he hasn't sold it, because it's been there for a while. And, you know, his main thing he told me was he wants to keep it agriculture. That's what his father did. That's what his grandfather did. And he really doesn't want to see that part of, you know, the area he grew up to be developed or to have anything other than agriculture or, you know, food sustainability for the people in the surrounding areas. Roughly around, I would say about 30 to 40% of that 5-acre parcel is being farmed right now. He really is just using it for banana. He has like 25-foot tall banana trees there. I don't know how he gets it down, but it's there. And he has a lot of lay plants, some stuff like heliconia, mavapuhi. He has, I believe, crown flower running through there. So there's a lot of different things that is going on there, but the rest of it is really just used for open spaces. And yeah, that's kind of what we have going on today. As we shift to the next slide, I'm gonna go ahead and pass it back to Davin, and he'll kind of give you guys a little bit more information on the following thing.
Yo, aloha, mauno, enoho e. You can hear me?
Yeah, you good.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, aloha no, guys. I'm gonna take you into the hi'ohi'ona o Ka'aina. Just to, you probably heard these names before, but we just go over one more time because our kupunas need to hear, we all need to know, and we're just gonna make it pa'a as much as we possibly can throughout this presentation. So, our moku, our district is Ko'olaupoko. Our ahupua'a is Kahalu'u. Our kuahivis is Na Pali Ha'uli'uli o Ke Ko'olau. Our velau of the space that we are in, yeah, the velau of that place is Eleau. the kualonos that are encompassing that lot 14 is Uli'i Makoli, Nana'i Ka'alaya, and Kalahaku. The Kahavai, we will be utilizing the Kahalu'u stream. Yeah, and our Makani, we see the winds of Kona, we see the ferocious winds named Kona Nihonui, and then we also find the winds of Moa'i here as well, amongst more other names. But those are the names at the moment. Okay. Pulupe nei lepo o Kahalu'u. As we skip to the next slide, yeah? So the next slide, you can see how Pulupe and how saturated the Aina is there. There's multiple spaces that looks like this upon the parcel. And so because there's so much growth over there, we really don't know if, one, the auwais are just, the water is seeping through multiple auwais upon the property, or there's actual artesian wells there. Not too sure. Once acquired, this space can be uncovered and investigated more as we kind of do some clearing and we take the proper precautions to kind of like malama these spaces as it develops in front of our, during our time there as we malama and we steward the land. So beautiful dirt, beautiful water flow too. We just got to figure out where this water is coming from, whether it's from the river or artesian wells there as well. Okay. And the reason why I'm not too sure, or we're not too sure, is because there's high ravines where the river comes in. There's high ravines so around the property. So we're not too sure how the water is getting in there. So we're still trying to figure that out. The next slide will tell a little bit more of the story, because we have Ho'okumuia Ka'uila. So there is electric upon the property. There is 2 telephone poles that run through the property. The end telephone actually has 2 transformers that sits above, and it runs to this particular space right here, in which there's an electric box and there's a water pump. So given that the ravines are so high, Uncle Stanley and his family actually would pump water throughout the space in the past to water all of the leis and the flower vegetation that they were growing there. So those are some of the key implements that we'll probably further need to investigate. Hopefully get plenty of water from just artesian well over there. But maybe that's the leak through the already established irrigation that was there prior. Okay. The next slide. Bananas, they don't grow in just one day. This is one of the banana species, the banana plots upon the Aina. Whether we keep this banana forest right here, or whether we utilize and make room for more species such as vegetation such as kalo or whatnot. Just looking at plenty potassium in the soil, plenty potassium. And that's one of the main 3 ingredients for building your soil and your lepo. Because we're not here for just grow plants, we're here for grow lepo. Because if you house your vegetation upon good lepo, your vegetation is going to grow no matter what. So that's one key indication of what type of land that or what type of lepo we get right here. Plenty potassium there. And inside, on going to the next slide, we see a bed of Avapuhi Kuahivi, shampoo ginger, for most of us that know. Get plenty of magnesium and planting vitamin C. So if this particular plant is growing very beautifully here, other plants too, voila, could grow very well over there. So in actuality, when you really think about it, what we're trying to do is we're trying to do this. On the next slide, we have silvopasture. Silvopasture is a type of agroforestry. It's an ancient global practice. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to utilize dry land spaces if no more water. Yeah, we're gonna utilize these spaces. I mean, it's gonna be conducive with livestock as well. So when livestock is there, we grow it off. We raise the chickens. We raise the pu'a. We raise all of that. Then we're going to shift from wherever those pigs and chickens are being raised. We're going to shift that, move it over. And then that new place of which they were just went run rampant and free range, we're going to turn that into mala and vice versa. And these will probably happen within 2 years, maybe 3 years. So we're going to let livestock do its things for 3 years and flip the other side, get that ready for the next, that livestock, and all of that when we move the livestock to the opposite end of the parcel, that could be ready for plant after tilling. So we're just trying to utilize the mechanics, the birth giving rights of our animals to go ahead and put nutrients back into Aina, put nutrients back into the lepo so that lepo is ready to grow more food. Of course, we're going to be doing all of soil testing and all of that prior to that. And then once we start flipping over, we're going to do it once again. Okay? That way we operate very cleanly and very akamai and maka'ala. Okay? And then we go to the next slide, which is, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Kimberly. Mahalo nui, commissioners, for listening to us and for giving us some time to vala'a with you guys.
Thank you, Devin. Okay, so. After following all these other guys, like I was ready to go off script already. Was yeah, it was just a bit much, you know, trying to follow all of these other guys. But you know what? I'm just gonna go. We have all these slides, and I'll still go through the slides, but this is what I wanted to share, honestly. We will start here. Sorry, guys, got off through. Okay, here it goes. So I pretty much kind of explained who we are, you know, kind of what we do. It started off as sport, you know, and it's just growing into so many different things. And you know, what we're going after right now, it's not us just applying for land, it's really us pleading as on behalf of families, our kiki and the next generations. That's what we want the land for. We want to be able to, you know, leave a legacy behind. I mean, 100 years later, whether it's our names or no matter what names, you know, they remember. It's that plot's still going to be there for them. You know, it's still going to continue. It's about food security, you know, for it's about the food security for our community. Right now, we currently do food distributions once or twice a month for our community, and that's with our partnership with Aloha Harvest and whatnot. But I mean, if we were to be able to get this piece of land and get it up and running, you know, we have the volunteers, we have the labor that's ready to go out. I mean, there's all these kids ready, you know, and excited to hear about, you know, the rumors about what we're trying to do. So, yeah, that's what we're going after. Check this next slide. It's excellent. And it's about restoring the land too. You know, and right now we're doing great on the ocean side, cleaning up the ocean side, you know, the shores and whatnot. Dr. Kaipuni Haula, our graduating class. And just, Davin and Justice are so good with the farming side. They're gonna be the mentors, the main mentors there. Okay, is this for me or is it on to you guys? That seems to be the fad right now, is everything is the Makai kind of thing. But it's important, I mean, it's so important that everybody is going on, and that's kind of the fact. And for us, I like to say that we're trying to make it more fun for the Kiki, like someone else had testified, the kids are so busy on their phones. Everything that we do, they can't have your electronics, they can't have your electronics in the water, you can't have your electronics in the lucky, So it's all about getting them active and engaged with everything. I'll let you guys touch back off on that after, sorry. Yeah, there we go. So back to the engagement. So we also eventually, this farm and everything that we're trying to do, we hosted a night market over at a ranch in our community. And it's not only about, fundraising and all this sort of stuff. We got so much praise from within the community, just bringing everybody together there. So we don't have a lot of this out in the whole area. And for them to have this sort of stuff, they're already asking, when is the next one? When is the next one? So we, a lot of people, it's a very tight-knit community. And for newcomers, it's a little hard to, get in. But with stuff like this, I mean, the community just comes together, everybody clicks, we have games, they have to interact and all that sort of stuff. Next things. Sorry. Oh, you good? Let's skip them. Oh, we already touched on this. So like I said, the food distribution that we already do. Yeah, you can look at next. Yeah, here we go. So, I mean, same thing again. These are all the kids that come out. This is only one of the clinics that we do. And I think this one, we only had like 60. This one was the first one. That's the first one. So the second one, we had like 100, like even more kids come out. And, just we teach them wellness all around. I mean, Justice could always testify to this more, Justice and Davin, they circle well. And it's just like healing the space for all the kids, and for them to connect. You want to talk on that? No, okay. Okay, and so on the parcel, we also, besides just, the conservation portion, I mean, we wanted to teach the kids the cultural practice. Our ancestors, I mean, it's in our blood, it's in our culture, it's in our everything, it's what we're supposed to do. And I feel like on Oahu, we've got a lot of programs for it, but, Oahu, it's getting scarce, it's becoming scarce in certain areas, and so that's what we want to protect as well. And this is who we serve, our elders and our Kiki, just our community all around, our people that are so great. They always come out, they always try to help as much as they can. They're awesome. Yeah. And so we have a lot of sponsors for all of these things that we do. A lot of them are community sponsors. I mean, our biggest one is Turtle Bay. We've gotten grants from like Ko'olelo, Pina grants and whatnot. The community is really helpful with us. And we're just so blessed to have them continue to support us, and every event that we do, everything that we do, these guys are always behind us. Yeah. Oh wait, let me talk about the leadership. So one of the top pictures up there, these are our pro bodyboarders, and then one of the Kiki who won boards from them. So all these guys, we're so blessed that we get these pro bodyboarders somehow. I mean, big names, even like Jeff Hubbard, he came to the last one, and I feel like that's why we had 150 kids turn out. But getting these guys to come out, because it's their idols, for them, it's something small, they're just coming to visit, but for us, it's a huge help getting all this, these kids working hard and whatnot. Okay. And then that's about it. This is where Girls Begins, when we embrace our connections. It's all about fun, but it's all bringing the community together and, get active, healthy, and yes. You guys wanna, Davin, you got anything to say to close out?
I get plenty for say.
Okay, not too much, it's getting late.
Nah, but I just wanted to point out that, as a professional bodybuilder myself, and as an inspiring farmer, we just gotta, back when I was small, back in Puna, we never have this kind of stuff. We never have no clinics that we could go to learn how to surf, yeah, sharpen up our skills there. We had to figure it out all on our own. And I'm a firm believer of that too. Learn everything on your own, because it builds character and it just makes you that much more smarter as well. But we cannot forget about Kokua. Yeah, we go on in life. We always gotta make sure that our poor amma, our babies, are well taken care of, so that they know how to navigate the future. Yeah, if you know who you is in the past, never forget the past. So you know who you is now, and then you know where you're gonna go. So that's exactly what this our organization is about. Is about honing in and sharpening on the past mo'olelos, whether it's stories, whether it's language, whether it's practices. We sharpen them up, we remember them, we sharpen them up in the present, so that we can utilize it and navigate the whole generation, the whole Hanauna into Kavaaku. Yeah, so thank you so much for your lovely time. Mahalo.
Close that.
Very much.
Oh, sorry, let's say something really quick. Go ahead, Big.
Just talk. Yeah. Alo mai kampo, alo chalo kleni panene, kalako mo kudine, kira hele mai mo kukoi o mama hele makana hele wa vai no kaya hanoi no me heni, mo kaya pages hana nama mai kai loa hanoya. So, aloha mai kampo, my name is Kiala Kalani Panene. That is my mom, and today I came just to help her out and follow her footsteps, because she does so many great stuff for the community and stuff. And I just thought I wanted to be part of this legacy and part of everything. Wow.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you much. Question time from commissioners? Please, Bert.
First of all, I have an apology, because I came in and damaged it. Oh, I haven't. Don't touch it. Anyway, I apologize. I was outside, you just it started, and so I missed Davin's chant for that. Kimberly, I have a comment, and that is, you've been working so hard. You've been learning at a pace that is dazzling. And, having the privilege of going on to the site visit, and really seeing, being there with you and on that particular site, I could get it. I mean, it's a wonderful piece of land with wonderful land history and heritage, and you are amazing.
I couldn't do it without these guys, honestly.
Well, obviously, but you're very good at reaching out to others. And then I want to say, we had this brief conversation when we're having very hurry lunch about how it would be good, if you had some support. And then wham, come with this packet of letters.
Yeah.
The powers that be. So I just want to tell you, I'm very impressed with your spirit.
Thank you.
Not often we see an applicant who is kind of the handpicked choice of the landowner for the successor. That's a really interesting aspect to this whole thing, and I now understand why he chose you folks.
Mahalo nui. So I got to go on the site visit. Very impressive. Mr. Asato was there and you guys have a great feeling and a relationship with it. There were a couple of technical things, right? We had to ask you. So first and foremost is with the application, the conservation easement holder. Have you guys approached anyone? Do you have anyone in mind?
So right now, I know you guys have mentioned the family of the rookie. So we got lucky. Justin, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I actually was able to work at Kako'oili as a farmer for quite some time. So I was able to build kind of a relationship with Nick. And I kind of explained to him what we had going on, and he was super stoked for us. I wasn't able to get a letter from him. That is one busy guy. But when it comes to the surrounding areas and those neighbors, he knows a lot of them and is definitely willing to introduce us to those people. And yeah, I basically was just able to kind of briefly tell him everything that we had. I haven't really gotten to go into real detail with him. But that is one of the connections that I fostered.
One of the resources we're at.
So you're thinking Kako'oili may be the organization that might hold the conservation easement? Is that what you're saying?
Oh,
We're still open to kind of figuring it out right now, but I'm just making some of those connections. Just has a really good connection, so that's the last thing that we're really trying to hone in on and work on. Yeah.
And then also in regards to your organization, tell us more about like your board, your staff, how much people you have, what's your operating budget? Because Brother Devin, he had some massive ideas for that ag plan.
Yeah.
And with that comes hala, right?
Yes. So right now, our board pretty much consists of, she walked out, but, so that's our treasurer. She was the one videotaping. That's Melissa, so that's my, then, and then there's me, then we got Justice and Davin. And to be honest, our nonprofit has always been fairly small. We've never really needed something this big. But with all the support that we've been getting and, the connections we've been making, we're slowly creating the support that we need. As we go after this, we're learning along the way and we're building it up as we go. Honestly, it started with just me, my other half and my cousin, and we brought on Justice, and then we got Davin to jump on, and then they're making more connections as we figure out what we need to do. So as we're learning along the way, and as far as financials, we've got a few we do have grants, applications out. There's quite a few of them, and our goal very soon is to bring on a grant writer because, this is something that outgrew my grant writing skills. So we're definitely looking into bringing on a grant writer because we are going to need all the financial help that we can get on that end. Yes, sure.
See any other comments or questions from the commission? And I don't see anything online. Thank you for putting together that little packet of testimony. That was under through half of our legislators are involved. But anyway, thank you for putting that together. I guess I look to see if there's any other comments or questions for this before we. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hallelujah.
Thank you guys.
oh, there him. Scared about that.
Stop it. It's your crazy guy. You got behind the scenes. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I'll for all you do.
Two more applications to be presented. And we will begin hearing those applications tomorrow morning, January 16, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. Okay, I want to bring you lunch, whatever. So meeting 92, the Legacy Land Conservation Commission is now recessed at 5:18 p.m. Thursday, January 15, 2026. Meeting 92 reconvenes at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow, Friday, January 16, 2026, in this same meeting room, in person and remote. Reconvening meeting 92. Oh. Okay, so that's where we'll be. So the meeting is in recess until tomorrow morning. See you all then.
Well,